Sketchbook is undeniably an amazing drawing app, and for me personally I've always used it a lot for sketching, but I've always wondered what would it be like if you push it to the absolute max and put it in the hands of a true professional. Hi, my name's Jacob, and when Autodesk came along and asked me to make a video about Sketchbook, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. My girlfriend's birthday is coming up, and I contracted 2 artists who have worked at places like WETA Workshop to help me create a self-portrait that she would never forget. And this is how it went down. So the plan was to turn me into some badass, dark brooding knight and make a poster that she could hang on a wall, so each time she would see it she'd be like, damn, he's such a man. With that solid plan in place, I flew down to Wellington for the weekend to work with the 2 artists. So this one is a character designer, and the idea is that he's going to create me, and the other one is a concept artist, and he's going to create the setting and the landscape. First up was Russell. He is a character and concept artist who works full-time at WETA and has created masterpieces like this, and this. We began by getting a quick photo shoot of me posing in some menacing poses with my dinky little umbrella. It doesn't look like much, but this gave Russell the base of the entire drawing. Russell began by bringing the photo into Sketchbook and erasing all of the background. Once this erasing was complete, he resized it to fit the canvas and desaturated the image, because it turns out it's much easier to work on something that's desaturated rather than something that's bright. The next step was to loosely get in what the armor was going to look like, sort of get in, I guess, the rough silhouette. Russell explained that it was super important to keep everything very rough at this first stage, because it's just feeling out how things work. It's all of these little scribbles that will give him the design cues for the next step, which is a thing called photo bashing, and I had no idea what it was until today. What you do is you take a photo in of like armor or whatever you like, you sort of turn the opacity down and erase it. So instead of drawing a belt, you just take a photo of a belt and redraw over it. You can do the same with armor or literally anything. Because knights are probably one of the main things that Russell draws, he has a massive library of reference photos to pull upon for armor, swords, belts and buckles and literally anything. When it came to my face, Russell wanted to make me a bit more rugged, so he gave me a few scars and wanted to lengthen my hair. I was not sold on the idea, so we photo bashed an old photo of when my hair was longer and put it directly into the photo. Once all the design decisions were made, the next step is refining. We decided early on that we didn't want a prim and proper sort of knight. We wanted something that was gritty and rugged, something manly. So, using those design cues, Russell went out to find a few more photos that would fit with that sort of aesthetic. We now enter the touch-up stage. By adding all of the highlights and all of the darker shadows, this gives contrast to the image, and what contrast does is it makes it look far more 3D and realistic and makes your image pop. And the final touch was to give me back my glasses. I thought it would be kind of funny to have a knight wearing dim shades. And here are the finished results. The day ended with Russell on a high, and I went to bed feeling marvelously happy with how badass I was turning out. The next day I headed back into the city to work with artist number 2 to create the setting and the background for the swashbuckling dude. Intro Amit, who is an absolute pro at doing amazing landscapes. He's done this, and this. So we began the whole process by looking at a ton of reference photos. To fit the fantasy theme, we decided to go for a Mirkwood kind of vibe. We went for a yellow theme and began by blocking in the big shapes. We wanted to draw the eye to the face of the character, and we did that by making the outside sort of darker and keeping the middle sort of lighter. Now, unlike Russell, Amit prefers a more painterly sort of method, and does everything almost entirely on one layer, using reference on a separate laptop to guide his steps. As I worked with Amit, I realised that there was so much more to creating a background than just creating some beautiful settings. It is a canvas for storytelling. So in this case, we wanted the rugged knight to be the good guy facing down the bad guy. So to portray that, we had it as if he was walking in from the light and he was going to a dark piece of the forest. To emphasize this even more, we made the background almost heavenly in aura. Then in the foreground, we added a whole lot of gnarled branches and roots to give the emphasis that he was standing in the way of the dark forest from messing up the good side of the forest. The next step was to ground the character in the setting. So to do this, Amit went in and actually changed a bit of the lighting on the face and the armor so it reflected sort of the yellowish tinges in the background to make it feel far more like it was there and not just placed in, that he was actually like worked into the image. The painting was near completion, but it still felt a bit too smooth. So to add texture, Amit put a photo behind everything to give it that sort of uneven foresty feel to it. Amit finished with the final few touch-ups to get the background absolutely perfect, and then voila! The painting was complete. With the finished masterpiece on a thumb drive, I flew back home and took the drawing to the printers to print it out as a poster to give to Mickey. Okay, so this is the setup. I got the painting behind me on the chair already. Mickey is downstairs, and I'm gonna show it to her. Hope she likes it. Okay, Mickey. Are you ready for your birthday present?
Are you filming?
The answer's yes.
Are you filming?
With the blindfold, please.
Are you filming now?
Maybe.
Oh my god.
3, 2,
Oh my gosh.
1. Happy birthday!
Oh my gosh! Whoa. Yeah. That's you.
What do you think?
It's very cool.
Yeah?
It's awesome.
So in your eyes, does this make me more manly?
It confirms my theory of your ego.
Well, that concludes that. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks to both Russell and Amit for putting in the hours to create this amazing masterpiece. You can follow them on ArtStation in the links below. Also, big thank you to Autodesk for making this video possible. Sketchbook is a powerful piece of drawing software and can churn out masterpieces like this. And the best part about it is that you can access it for absolutely free. Just go to www.sketchbook.com, click the download button, and you can have it for free and start creating beautiful works like this. Well, that's all. Now excuse me while I appreciate some art. How you doing?